Hello, hello.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We're in his house. It's Let's Unwind with the Evans, episode 10, and we are excited to be able to come before you tonight and share again. Welcome to the show. My name is Thomas Evans, and this is my beautiful, my lovely sidekick. She bad today, y'all. I told her we was gonna have a hard time getting on the show tonight. I'm telling y'all, this girl here, but this is my lovely, beautiful wife, Jessica. How you doing?
Hello, family.
You doing all
Thank you
right?
for joining us. Yeah, I'm all right.
She feeling it, y'all. She had her Red Bull. She ready to go.
Still got a little bit. Still
She's
got a little
look,
bit.
she got she like the strawberry kind.
Yeah.
It's
No,
pretty good.
tell my secrets
It's
so
pretty
they
good.
can buy it all.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know you don't like nobody.
Strawberry apricot.
She don't like nobody eating, drinking, dressing, none of that. So if you do, don't let her know that you got it. All right.
There we go. There we go.
That part.
But yes, you all, we missed you. We definitely missed you. Last week we discussed what is the real issue. So tonight, as you are getting comfortable, whether you're in bed, whether you're at work, just sitting on the couch, just go ahead and relax. Get your favorite beverage because tonight is going to be awesome.
Yes. Yes.
It is going to be so amazing.
It's gonna be dope, y'all. We got some good stuff in store for you guys tonight. Good stuff.
Absolutely. So please continue to tag and share. Let everyone know that we're online, we're live. It's going to be completely amazing. So you all can't see my shirt, but I had on a shirt that says Queen.
I see it.
Let me see if I could lower it a little bit. Queen. Y'all see it? I'll see. So I'm representing for the ladies tonight, okay?
Oh, is that what you're
like
doing?
I always do, though.
Oh, you representing for the ladies, huh?
Yes, I'm representing for the ladies, the wives to be, single ladies, all of that.
Gotcha.
All of that. Y'all hear me? So keep on sharing. Hopefully we're not freezing. We're seeing glitching on our end. But hopefully you all can hear us.
Mhm.
Let us know if you can hear us, see us, all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, tonight we are going to be discussing what are we going to discuss? Come on. Go ahead and share with the people.
What we're going to be talking about is feeling unheard.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to communicate with your spouse and they just don't hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're doing all this talking, but they still don't.
Mm-hmm.
I feel unheard.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all can't hear me. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying. Feeling unheard. But we don't get into that tonight. You know what that means to be feeling unheard and all that kind of good stuff. So let's go a little bit into that, baby. Talk to us about it from your perspective, your professional opinion about feeling unheard.
My professional opinion.
Your professional opinion.
Oh, he want to go professional, y'all. He don't want to get into the relational. I gotta love my husband. So the professional piece, feeling unheard is something that everyone has experienced in their lifetime, whether it's your upbringing, workplace, being in school, being a student, being a parent. How many parents do we have out there? Y'all know what it's like to feel unheard.
Kids don't listen. Nothing we say.
Parents just don't understand. Okay, that was before. But no, and I'm saying in the remake, I know there was a addition. But anyways.
They don't listen to nothing we say.
Don't listen to anything. So feeling unheard can happen in no matter what area in life you are, whether you're single, whether you're married. Listen, this is a great topic tonight. We want you to continue to tag and share, let everyone know we're online. But one thing I posted, no matter where you are, whether you're single or married, this is for everyone. Children may feel unheard. Parents, I've been here. I know what it is out here. Listen, y'all don't really know what y'all are embarking on. Parents have said that to their child once or twice.
Yes.
So again, everyone at any point in their life has felt unheard. And if you've never felt unheard, listen, I want
Oh,
your family.
well,
Let me stop. I want your family. Okay.
oh, wow.
But no, listen. Tonight's going to be awesome, like I said. So, feeling unheard professionally, it's a situation where you may be communicating your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions, your perspective, about something,
Mhm.
something, someone, whatever that looks like. And that person on the receiving end is just not receptive
Right.
to what you're communicating, whether it's a difference of opinion, whether it's based off of skin color, whether it's based off of delivery, whether it's built off of age.
Mhm.
All these different facets go into why a person is not receptive. And it could be based off of their own insecurity, but that's a whole nother topic, right?
Oh, boy.
So, feeling unheard, of course, that doesn't fall on the person who is sharing their feelings, their emotions, all of that good stuff. It falls on in the lines of understanding that the best thing you could do is to communicate. We often share with our couples, we often share with our individual, counseling as well, that it's dangerous, very dangerous to suppress your feelings, right?
Yes.
There's
Yes.
danger in that, because we do not want you yourself to end up imploding. And by carrying all of that baggage,
Mhm.
all of that trauma, all of that rejection into any relationship,
Any.
into any marriage.
Right.
So it's important to understand that just because a person doesn't hear you doesn't mean that you've lost your value, and
Ooh.
doesn't mean that what you're saying does not have value.
Nuggets tonight, huh?
Dropping them.
Mhm.
So, in your professional opinion, what does that mean?
No, I think you really hit on some great points because when you when you feel unheard. Now, we stress this all the time. Everybody has the right to what they feel. Everybody has the right, those are your feelings. They
Mhm,
are legitimate. There's value in what you feel. There's worth in what you feel. And so if a person feels as though they're unheard, then um, there's some things that you can do to get beyond that. There are some things that you can do to change that perspective. There's some people, ways to communicate.
mm,
There's a certain group of people that you may be around, and you may need to be around other groups of people. But again, your
mhm,
feelings are valid,
mhm,
and we want you to be able to own what you feel. Don't ever feel like what you feel is not worth anything, or there's nothing there. There's always, so the key is we want you to always understand that what you're feeling for you is truth.
mhm,
Now, there may be some things going on, and we always want to acknowledge what your feelings are. But in that, if you feel unheard, that's not a good place, because
mhm.
sometimes feeling unheard can cause you to feel isolated. And to my wife's point, when you're isolated, that's where you will have yourself kind of feeling a certain way, at which point now you can't truly share what you want because you feel unheard. And so we
Yes,
we want to make sure that, well, let me just say it this way. There is help for you.
yes.
There's definitely help for you. And we want to, tonight try to help you, through some of those places and some of those spaces that you may be in where you feel like you're not being heard. And we want to say, we hear you.
Mhm,
We're here to help you navigate through that, to communicate on your behalf, to communicate with you for those who feel like you have not been heard. So let's go relationally now, because we've kind of talked from a professional perspective, but relationally, you're trying to communicate with someone that you're in a relationship with, and there just seems to be this barrier between either how they're receiving what you're saying,
mhm,
or there's a barrier between what you're saying and it's not being delivered a
mhm.
certain way that can cause, and it can cause feelings of not being heard. And so again, we say it all the time, communication is the key. There
Mhm.
is a way that you've got to be able to communicate and share with each other. And a lot of times, unfortunately, what happens is when you communicate, it gets kind of tossed over there on the side. It gets,
Mhm.
thrown over there somewhere. And when you feel that way, what it does
Mhm.
is that's where your feelings kind of comes in, and it's like, wait a minute,
Mhm.
I'm not being heard. And when you feel like you're not being heard, guess what? I don't feel valued. You
Mm.
don't value me because you don't hear me. And then when you feel like you're not being heard and you feel like you're not valuing me,
Mhm.
this causes that separation. So now one
Mm.
person either stonewalls or they begin to grow in a different direction because it's like, why should I even bother? You don't hear me anyway. So now projection kicks in. And so
Mm.
if I feel like you're not hearing me, why am I going to communicate with you? What is there to talk about? You don't hear anything I have to say anyway. So no, I'm not going to communicate with you. So now, as I said earlier, with communication being the key on the foundation, communication lacks because they feel the need to not communicate with you because you do not hear what they're saying or you don't understand. What's very important in those types of situations, and we try to help people that are in counseling with us, and we try to help ourselves to doing it. It's important to repeat what you've heard, because if you can repeat what you've heard, then it gives the other person the opportunity to hear what was spoken or how you received it. And but if you
That's good.
can't do that, then that's going to keep that feeling of
Mhm.
not being heard right there in the very forefront. And so it's very important to understand repeating back what you've heard. And if you had, and we had a perfect example of that today. Um, we have to take our car to the shop, and my wife was like, "Well, are you going to call the shop?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna call them." So I called them, and they had one of these things where when you're on hold, where you get a certain place in line, and they ask, well, do you want to keep your place? And one of the representatives will call you back as soon as the others in front of you are off the line. And so I did that option. But later, my wife came upstairs and was like, well, babe, did you call the car place? And I said, well, yeah, I did. I'm waiting for a phone call back. And the way she heard it was that I have to wait for someone to call me back. So she went on and called them
Mhm.
instead of me. Then when the people called me back, well, they're like, well, somebody else already called. And so
Mhm.
so it was that lack of communication where I didn't say, well, the machine put me in place, but I was just
The
quickly,
detail.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
just quickly saying, well, they're going to call me back. She kind of took it as though, well, okay, they'll get back to it when they get the opportunity, as
Mhm.
opposed to, oh, he's got a place in line and they're going to get to
Yeah.
him then.
That's different.
So that lack of the detail, that communication
And
is
that
like,
happens, right? That happens across the board
right.
in relationships, friendships, everything. And feeling unheard is very unfortunate. It's very exhausting. Can I just speak on the emotion? It's very exhausting. It's very frustrating.
Hmm.
And you have to press through it. It's not just, okay, they didn't hear me, so this relationship is to none effect. There's no point to what my husband shared. There's no point in me communicating with you because all you're going to do is either reject it, try to circumvent it, all of those
Right.
different things that go into communication, bad communication nonetheless, but it's still communication.
Yeah.
And it's really important to restate what you've heard because when you restate, it brings clarity,
Right.
right? So it gives also an opportunity for the person to say, you know what? Let me rephrase that or let me add
Right.
more detail
Right.
to
That
that.
part.
But oftentimes, and this is when it almost sounds robotic, right? So in our counseling that we've done over the years, and we're still in counseling. We counsel. We don't believe that you can ever stop growing.
Right.
You can't ever stop learning. And so, one of the things that our counselors had shared previously was just the art and what it means to restate. Now, with restating, it's going to be uncomfortable at first because this is not our nature. Our human nature is to respond and to react,
Hmm.
fight or flight. So our response is to react and to respond. So to hear a person and then say, okay, just to make sure I'm understanding you correctly,
Hmm.
Now, this isn't no, okay, so what you're trying to say it. No, no,
No,
that's not the example we're giving.
no.
We're giving, if this person communicates something to you, restate it back in a calm, collective manner without the emotion attached to it. Just ask them and be genuine about it. And I believe that when it's a heated, let's talk about a heated conversation. If there's offense, if there's hurt involved, if there's pain involved, yes, the last thing you want is to restate and practice all of these tools that we're giving you, right? But they do work. And sometimes you drop the ball. And how many times have you, in the middle of a disagreement, like, you know what? I see where that barrier, if only I got enough understanding in the very beginning, it wouldn't have even spiraled to this point.
My wife and I have plenty of disagreements where
but
I
because
just like
it's
scratching my head
spiraling out of control because the person didn't gain the understanding. So we're not asking you to be sarcastic. We're not asking you, when we say restate, belittling or trying to have this up and down, one up, one down perspective. We're actually saying genuinely, come from a genuine place, because the person on the other side, especially if it's already intense and emotions are already high, they're going to be able to read if it's genuine or not.
The key is, the reason you're restating is for understanding and clarity. So what my wife says, because, and I love when she said that, human nature, your first response, let's be honest, most, and a lot of women especially, you don't like repeating yourself.
Sure don't.
So
you heard me the first time.
So the first reaction is, when we talk about restating, it's like, ain't nobody got time to be repeating. Nobody got time for that. That is the problem with communication. That is why a lot of relationships are borderline. That's why, and now what happens is, when you're doing these things, you cause the other person to feel unheard. And so now that the person feels unheard, as we said earlier, they shut down. They go through all of these other internal problems. So now, and let's be honest, the enemy starts playing games with their mind now. They don't want to hear anything you got to say. They don't appreciate you. Why are you even here? What are they there? All of these things starts going on, all because you did not take a few seconds to say, let's say it this way. You weren't intentional about making sure that the communication was solid. It is really about being intentional about making sure that the communication is solid. If you can make sure that the communication is solid, then you won't really have as many disagreements. You won't have a situation where the person that you're with may not feel like they're not being heard. You may not be in a situation where you feel like you're not unheard, because you're taking the time to be intentional about making sure that communication is solid. And so again, it that little piece, which seems so little, that little piece, the Bible says it this way: there's small foxes that spoils the vine. So it's not a big fox you're looking for, a little small rabbit type size thing, little small thing running around there, eating up all the stuff from the vine, tearing the vines up. So it's the little piece. Like I said, the car piece that we talked about today, that little lack of detail. What one phone call made 2 phone calls, that little detail would have eliminated a second phone call. So we've got to get to a place of understanding that there are a lot of people in relationships who feel like they're unheard. And when you feel like you're unheard in a relationship, it's like a catastrophe waiting to happen. Because what seems like a small thing festers into something major, because again, now you not only do you feel unheard, but now you feel unwanted, you feel unvalued, you feel like
that goes back to the rejection piece.
That
you feel
rejected. Rejected. And so if you already have a problem with rejection, oh my God. Now it's a whole mountain based off of that small thing.
If the situation is sensitive, and
Oh
you're
man.
not feeling heard,
Mm-hmm.
once that rejection sits in, that's really where it intensifies. It's not
Yes.
based off of what the person said.
At
It
all.
was their initial, hear me, initial response to what you shared. And oftentimes we share it all the time. And I'm going to make this plain. This is going to be very transparent. We're always transparent, but our transparency is really what's going to help.
Right.
Giving real life examples is really what's going to help. So we're not just going to be over the top, super deep, whatever the case may be. We're going to give you practical examples, period, because we still have this flesh that we have to deal with, right?
Bro, say it.
So when it comes down to communicating your feelings and putting them on the table, deflection. If you have a person who easily deflects,
Oh man.
that is a communication killer right there.
That's a blocker. Mm-hmm.
Because now, instead of me sharing what I feel, oh, but you did this. Oh, but you did that. Oh, you don't have the right to come to me about this.
Yes.
Oh, now it's my feelings, or the person who you're giving the information to. Oh, it's my feelings versus yours.
Right.
Or the situation that happened last week versus the present right now.
Right.
And so we have to be careful and we have to be mindful to know that when a situation is brought across, we share it all the time. Honey, I have the floor.
That's important.
It's my table.
It's not your turn.
It's our situation, but it's my table.
Yes.
So I would share oftentimes, you guys, I would say, you know what, honey? If that was your issue, if you really felt strongly about that, you missed your opportunity when you felt it.
Because now
it's not right. Right. It's not right, and it's not fair for you to counter my emotion with your situation, because watch this. I don't want to be accountable.
So you have to learn that when, as she said, when the other person has the floor, you just have to eat it. And again, some of what we're talking about goes against normal human nature.
Mm-hmm.
It goes against your normal response, because your first reaction and first response is to defend yourself. Forgetting that that Jesus said, "Vengeance is mine." God said, "Vengeance is mine." You forget that vengeance is here. You don't have to defend yourself. Just eat it.
And the same thing with my husband. When my husband brings an issue, and I'll say this, let me speak up, because you said, you see, I have my queen shirt on, so I got to represent the ladies, right? Oftentimes in relationships, friendships, women are communicators, right? They talk. They talk about things. They talk about people. They talk about aspirations, we talk, right?
Nails, hair,
and
makeup.
When a situation arises in our marriage or in our relationship, more times than not, it's that woman bringing it up.
Right.
And so for a lot of men that are watching or tune into our show periodically, it's a situation where a wife's like, okay, well, why didn't you bring that up? But by nature, men are not as emotional, and we're calculated. Women look for pattern before, well, not all women. I look for pattern before I bring up a situation.
All right.
But
it tonight.
But no, not all women, because look, if something bothers them, they're gonna bring it up first. I'm not giving it any room to fester into a pattern. That's some women's methodology. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I need to do better. My counselor said, yeah, that's a healthy thing to bring it up. Really? That's a healthy thing. Okay, well.
At the time, though. At the time, not the
no, I'm talking about, no, I'm saying in the moment. Yeah. That's whew. But but the Lord's still working on me. But with a lot of men, they don't feel comfortable, and they don't feel like an issue is that major to bring up. So they wait the issue. It doesn't mean that the issue doesn't exist, ladies. It doesn't mean that it didn't bother them. It doesn't mean that they didn't think that, okay, gosh, she keeps on doing this. This is going to cause a bigger issue. They may think about it internally, but are they going to communicate that with you? Not necessarily, because let me tell you one thing. Men are so strategic that they know that their words could end up damaging you, especially if that's your spouse.
Yeah.
Now, there's one thing being in a relationship, but one thing about being married,
If only
he's
women thought the same way.
he's not going to do that because we're fragile, right? So we may dish it out, but are we able to take the same heat?
No.
More than likely, we're not.
No.
But at the same time, we want that reciprocated. But I guarantee you, because we're the ones that's always the one, sharing our feelings, sharing what's being brought to the table, we're not giving them the space and opportunity. So when they feel like, oh, they're being attacked, maybe it's your delivery, maybe it's your word choice, maybe it's your body language. If they feel like they're going to be attacked, their defense is going to rise up.
Wait.
It is that again
Quick,
goes back to human nature.
Right.
But regardless of human nature, the mature person will say, okay, I know the body language you're giving me, the attitude, the word choice, the coldness. I know that is a symptom of the root. And the root is the pain, whatever caused the pain, the hurt, all of those different things. Now, those are a byproduct of that. So if I just want to stay on the adjectives, I'll just say adjectives. But if I want to stay on those things describing the actual root, then I'm not going to get far, right? Because now it's your anger. Don't talk to me. You're raising your voice. Now we're going off of, and it's easy to do, right? When you're having a disagreement. Mm-hmm. But now we're going based off of that now. We're not even hitting the point of what the root is or what the situation is.
You're not even on the topic because of everything else that transpires.
Yeah, and that's part of deflection. Now, we're not saying that, no, you shouldn't condone verbal abuse. That's not what I'm subscribing to at all. What I am saying, though, is saying, okay, if I'm mature in this area, now it's one thing. If I'm just going to go back and forth with you, it's a saying my mom always used to share with me. When a person walks in the room, they can't tell who's the fool, because no matter who reacted first, if you're combating it with the same emotion and foolishness, you're both fools in the situation. So you have no right to share because you didn't combat it from a healthy perspective. You combated it based off of the negative emotion that was already there. Mm-hmm. So I believe when it comes to especially husbands and wives and in marriage, God places you all together. Your husband or wife, you may have the same strength, but more times than not, there's going to be one of you that has a particular strength in the level of maturity in one area where the other one is still growing and God is still developing them. So if that is the case, then if you've already came to this stature and you see that a person's still growing and developing in that, then you stay where they are, because if you keep lowering, it's wavering. So how are they going to get to this portion? You're not pulling them up. You're going down to where they are, and don't hear it down like beneath, low, all that type of stuff. Don't hear from that perspective, but you're basically what do I want to say? You're basically not using
down to another person's level, because
not using maturity. Yeah, you're not using maturity at the end of the day.
It's about maturity versus immaturity, and the more mature person should take the higher road.
Yeah,
and the immature person would typically take the lower road. And again, the issue with that is based on
that's
topic,
biblical,
right? Well, it's definitely biblical.
So that's a whole nother topic. No, but we can't just adhere to certain scriptures and not adhere to all of it. So that's the portion of it. You have to be real with yourselves. If you see yourself rising up, just take a break. If it's something where it's like, okay, well, I don't really like this, maybe we need to cool down. Let's cool down and then come back to the situation. So for those who are tuning in, the topic tonight is feeling unheard,
Feeling unheard.
whether that's in friendships, relationships. So I want to just tap into, because we talked about wives and husbands and things of that sort. But what about friendships?
Mm.
So when it comes to friendships, being able to be heard in those as well. What is your take on that?
Well, I'm laughing because I'm I guess for me, I guess I could say I feel unheard a lot of times. I mean, not so much that I feel unheard, but
If
uh,
that's your truth, don't
well, no,
retract your
no,
truth.
I mean, but I'm saying because you know it, like I do.
Uh-huh.
When they call me, typically they call me and do what? They're calling me for advice. They're
Talk.
calling me, and man, let me tell you something. I got a question for you. So I don't really get a chance to share a lot of times, or I really don't get a chance to talk about,
Ooh, I'm out to play devil's advocate.
yeah, my stuff,
So
my thing. Go
is
ahead.
that their fault or yours? And the reason I say that,
Hmm.
okay,
I knew that was
I
coming.
I have a friend, right?
Hmm.
Usually when I call this friend, I'm sharing about my life. Now, my friend is also asking me about my life. So it's not just overkill where it's like, okay, well, she just call and pick up the phone and start talking. No, 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 no. I'll ask, but hers is one word and then it goes back to me. Right. And so it may seem like, okay, gosh, we're just talking about, Jessica all the time. We're just talking about what's going on in her life or what she has
Hmm.
going on. And very seldomly do I hear about really what's going on in the depth of what's going on.
Right.
And there's two different communication styles, right? Because I feel like if you really, and it's maybe projection, but if you really wanted to get something off your chest or you really wanted a person that you to confide in, you would let that be known. It wouldn't be a situation where that's always one way.
I agree with you. Again, you've been on the other side of my car. I'm answering on speakerphone. You're here. Hey, I got a question for you. Boom, they dive
And
right
that,
in.
and I can
It's
always,
like,
you could change the dynamic of the conversation. And we're talking about
uh,
hours of conversation.
oh
So
well.
they may call you, but you have the ability to change it and
Well,
say, you know what,
I
I
have
got a
my
question for you.
well, I have my other
That's healthy
people that
dialogue.
I'll call for that, but not necessarily them. So
Okay.
that's how that works. But I just
So in
laughed at it.
those relationships,
Yeah,
do
it
you
just
feel unheard when you say you have your certain people?
the ones that I do call.
Yeah, yeah, those
No, I don't
friendships.
think I feel it. No, because they allow me the opportunity, the space to speak and share, vent, or whatever I have to do. So it's not. Nah, it's cool
Do they try
when I
to
can get in
fix your
touch with them.
issue or do they really hear
No,
you?
no, they listen, hear me out, okay, and then they'll ask, well, what did you do? What was your response? What was your reaction? Do you
Mhm.
have a solution to the issue? Have you
Mhm.
thought about this? Have you thought about that? So no, for those ones, it's not that big a deal. But I just laughed at it initially because
Mhm.
I'm thinking from the ones who just, and it's like, oh wow, that's
Mhm.
funny. But
Mhm.
no, but in from friendships, to your point, and I was just sharing this with somebody the other day. It's important for you to be able to understand what balance looks like.
Mhm.
And what do I mean by balance? That means when there is a friendship,
Mhm.
it is you sharing and it is them sharing.
Mhm.
And so ultimately, you may need to take some inventory of some people in your relationship because if you're the only one sharing, there's an imbalance. If
Mhm.
they're the only ones sharing, there's an imbalance.
Mm.
And so some of you could be, we call it yoke. Some of you could be yoked up with people that you really shouldn't be yoked up with because there's no balance.
Mhm.
So as a result, no, you're not really being heard because, what is the motive? What is the intent? Do you just want to
Mhm.
listen to me speak all the time? Is
Mhm.
that the only reason? Or I'm your punching or your not punching bag, but I'm your vent bag. All you do is just call me to dump. I'm your
Mhm.
dump truck. You just dump
Mhm.
everything on me. I'm your garbage dump. You're just gonna
Mhm.
dump all your garbage on me. Then after you dump your garbage on me, okay, bye, and you drive off.
Mm.
There's not a balance there.
Mhm.
And so again, you've got to be able to balance this thing out because there's no way you're going to be heard when it's one sided one way or the other. And so that ultimately is a dynamic in itself. So when you
Mhm.
feel unheard, and it's funny you mentioned earlier about like parents, and and I started laughing and I said, them kids don't listen to nothing we have to say. It's amazing that kids do not listen to what we have to say as
Mhm.
parents.
I was sharing this earlier with someone that I was speaking with, and one of the things that I shared was the fact that a person, especially if you're very close, we're talking about close relationships,
Yeah.
it's amazing that you could share something with someone that you love, you care about. Even to my husband's point, you helped you raised all of those different things, and another stranger or somebody else who may have not been in their life long, they may not even have that same rapport, they could share the same wisdom, the
Yep.
same advice, the same example, whatever
Hmm.
the case may be, and they'll be like, oh, okay, let me
Like it's
hop
brand
on
new.
that,
Like it's
like it's
brand new.
brand new. And part of that is based off of the relative space, the
You take
familiar
that person for
space,
granted.
that familiar space. And it honestly falls on deaf ears. So we want to get you all to the place of not allowing it to fall on deaf ears, because it happens. It happens in
But
marriage.
watch this. This is why we're talking about feeling unheard, right? That's the prime example because we talked about friendships. You
Mhm.
can have some friendships where you're so close, you've been together all the time. You don't necessarily hear what the best friend has to say, or you're not hearing it the way it should be intended because
Mhm.
you're hearing it your own way, which that projection. So, like
Right.
you say, because of that space, and then somebody else from La La Land says something, and it's like, oh my God, I can't
Mhm.
believe the Lord gave me a revelation. What? And,
Mhm.
and so it boils down to understanding when people love you, they're going to share things with you that everybody else is not necessarily going to share. And I think what it boils down to, honestly, is a lot of times we don't know how to receive love.
Mhm. We
And
don't know what love is
we
to
don't
be
know
able
what
to
love, right?
identify it.
Because
We have to identify before
because
we
the
receive.
society that we're in today
That's
has you
good.
thinking that love is all these likes and all of these hearts because they agree with everything you say. And then the moment someone says, well, no, I don't like this, they ain't for me, I got to cut them because they're
Mhm.
not supporting my vision, they don't want to support my dream. Wait a minute, they're sharing with you something out of love that could possibly hurt you later if no one else says it.
Mhm.
See it for what it is. I get accused of that because I'm really blunt. I'm really, I just say a thing like it is, and I'm saying it out of love. A lot of times it's hard for people to receive it because of the way I'm bringing it, but it's coming from a loving place. I'm not. If I didn't love you, I wouldn't say it. Go ahead and bump your head in the wall. I don't care. But if I care, look, you ain't gotta. Why are you doing that? Just back up. What are you doing? What? But you too hard. Are you hearing I say it all the time. Are you hearing the words or are you hearing the heart behind the words? And that's the key. So ultimately when people feel unheard, a lot of, as I was saying earlier, it's being honest, and this is a hard word. A lot of people just don't know what love is and don't
Mhm.
know how to receive love. So your mom says something to you, you all up in arms. Your dad says something to you up in arms. Your husband or your wife says something to you all up in arms. It's spoken from a place of love. Learn how to receive the love. Stop hearing the words as an attack and hear the heart behind the words. Hey, you're about to bump your head. I don't want you to bump your head. I've already been down this road. I can help you navigate if you will allow me. But because you don't know how to love, and I can say it over and over again. The Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. You've got to love yourself before you'll ever love anybody else. And so, for some of us that are watching, you have a love deficit, which is why you feel like you're not being heard when you speak to others because they're not applauding your wrong decisions, or they're not applauding your indecisive decisions, or they're not applauding your ability to sit back passive because they want you to be a little more aggressive. So here they come at you in a place of love and you can't receive it. Then in your heart, well, I don't feel like they heard me, or I don't feel
Mhm.
heard because they won't receive. No, this thing, we got to open this up and really see it for what it is.
Mhm. Absolutely. And listen, you all, we if we're not sharing something with you that is not a daily uh what is it? Just
A daily ritual, something you do every day.
basically,
I mean,
I don't like the word ritual,
what we're
but
saying to
yeah,
y'all tonight, we're talking to y'all tonight about things that are not natural and are not normal. The normal
mm-hmm.
response, like we talked about, when someone comes to you, your first response is to defend yourself. Your first response, Bible said, turn one cheek. You get slapped in one cheek, turn the other. I don't know nobody on a planet that's willing to get slapped and then say, you know what, here, slap me on the other cheek. No, your first response is you slap me. You don't even know who you mess with, boo boo. You about to get dealt with right now, boo boo, because you done dealt with the wrong one. So
And
it's
how do men react? Because men got the same issue. You
oh,
imitated a woman.
why you got to throw me out there like that? We all know I got
Because
problems. I tell everybody openly to pray for your boy. Look,
yeah, that's vague.
I have guinea pigs. My guinea pigs look at me the wrong way. I post up.
Look,
like, wait a minute, what?
Hey. That offense is real, and it's not gender specific, y'all. It's really is not.
It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It is not.
It's a mature. It's a maturity issue.
We will maturely,
and we still have to get to that place of full maturity. We do.
Listen.
There's no way around it if you want a healthy relationship and friendship.
But if you feel like you are not being heard, okay, there's some things that you can do. One, we talked about it earlier. When you're communicating with a person, make sure to restate. If you're the person that's talking and you feel like you're not heard, and my wife does this all the time, you can stop mid-sentence and say, can you tell me what you heard? Can you repeat back for me what you heard? Mm-hmm. Now, your natural response is to be a smart aleck. That's not the time for that because, again, the point is, I just want to make sure that you're hearing me correctly, and I want to make sure that what I said is correct and that you heard exactly what I'm trying to say. So that restating, you can never restate too much. So if I understand correctly what you're saying, so if you feel unheard, that's one of the things you can do. The second thing you can do is check your balance. Is the relationship, is the person you're dealing with, is it a balanced relationship? Are you sharing and are you receiving? Mm-hmm. Restate, check your balance. Now there's a third thing that you might need to do. You might need to change your circle. You might need to change your circle because there are some people who will appreciate you because you have value. You have worth. There are some people who will appreciate you. There are some people who will hear you. There are some people who will respond to you. There are some people who want to hear what you have to say. There are some people who are willing to share and talk and communicate. So those are some things that you can do if you feel like you're not being heard. Mm-hmm. Restate, check the balance, check your circle. And from there, you begin to move forward. Watch this. There's another step I can give you. Have you ever thought about talking to yourself? Talk to God and talk to yourself. Maybe you have an issue where you don't feel like you can share with someone else what you're really feeling. Maybe it'll feel better if you look at yourself in the mirror and you can share those feelings. But to my wife's point from earlier, you don't want to suppress what you're feeling and what you're dealing with because when you suppress it, you can implode. And when you implode, that will cause you to react and respond to situations and things in ways that are ungodly. You don't want to do all that. Yeah. It'll cause you to get out of character quick.
I also want to add to that list. Can I?
Come on.
Okay. So, and those were great points, to be honest, especially the last point. And let me put that disclaimer on it. That doesn't give you the option to hide and run.
Not
that last part.
Not telling you to do that.
Because some people are called to be in your life to challenge you, to get you out of you.
Hello.
So we're not talking about because they don't want to appease your emotions or they don't want to. We're not talking about that. You want people pleasers. That is a you issue.
You know what? We're gonna do a topic about that.
People pleasers,
no, track stars.
track star.
All they want to do is run. Don't
There's
want to
a
be
song.
accountable. Don't want
There's
to
a
be
secular song
responsible.
called Track Star. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's
we
a
could.
secular song.
Yeah, it's a secular
We're
song
gonna use
called
the
Track
song for the
Star.
intro then. Well,
Uh,
can we use the song for
I
the
don't
intro?
know. I don't remember the
No.
lyrics,
Oh,
but
never mind. Bump that. Bump that.
but no. What I wanted to add to that is make sure that you're sensitive to the atmosphere. So if it's
Oh
a
yeah. Oh yeah.
situation where you're like, I can use marriage for example. If you're at home or even if you're in a relationship and you're with your significant other, home is very comfortable, right? So I could respond any kind of way because this is my home, this is my palace, right? And so when it comes down to you being at home, it's more prone for a person to react any kind of way, immature or mature. It's just really solely based on that individual. But if you're bringing something that is a heart issue, and then hard issue, if those two are one in one, hand in hand, then more than likely just go out on a date. Go out to the movie, not movies, can't talk in the movies. Go to the park, go out to dinner, go somewhere
Some
where
people
you're
talk
at
during the movies.
somewhere.
You better run.
Yeah.
Get out of there, fool.
But no, I mean like literally go somewhere outside of the home. You could even step out on your patio and just talk. Go in the car, just talk. Pull off, in the parking lot underneath the stars, just talk, just communicate. And this is also another step that you can take. If you have an issue with your delivery, or if you really are at a place where, okay, I'm tired of repeating, I've used these tools before, they didn't work, try a different method. That method could be writing.
Hey, write a note.
Write a letter to your friend, to your mother, to your father, to your significant other, but write a note. You have to get it out, whether it's verbally or whether that's and verbally is still the case when you're writing a letter.
Tevin
It's just
Campbell said,
nonverbal.
"Girl, I started to write you letters,
So that is another
but I
step.
wanted to be more clever." Tevin wasn't playing. Sometimes you got to be more clever and write that letter if you can't communicate it. Be like Tevin Campbell. Can we talk for a minute? See, it's communication is key. Tevin knew. Y'all better understand. Y'all don't know that. Y'all better go back there and get that Tevin Campbell. I'm telling you, write that letter. Great point, baby.
I wasn't done. You see how I let my husband talk his whole points, all 5 of them. Y'all counted.
I'll let you add it. Go ahead. You roll it.
I'm done. Drop
You
mic.
finished?
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, it is. I knew you were gonna drop.
No, I wasn't, but I'll drop it.
So I was giving her theme
Because he was
music in the
ad-libbing. I
background.
didn't need it.
You didn't need a theme
I
music?
didn't.
I thought it was perfect.
See, and this is a perfect example. Are you hearing, or are you just trying? See, again, you can't hear when you're singing.
I was in the background.
Perfect example.
She don't want background music.
No background.
You don't want the background music. Or you want it to be silent when you're speaking. Is that what it is?
Okay, one of our listeners said writing is one of her favorite ways to communicate. No, it's very therapeutic. Very, very therapeutic. And I subscribe to it. I need to actually really go back to writing.
You just got a journal.
Yes, I did just get a journal, but I need to go back to writing to you. You're the closest person to me. You need to write to me too. But the reason I say that though, it's because we shared our transparency. He acting all oblivious. We shared our transparency. Sometimes we jack it up, y'all. We can admit that.
I mean, nobody denied. Nobody ever denied.
Right. So writing is another form of expression.
Can we talk? I mean,
right. If you're not being received, that's one thing.
There you go. There you go. I'm like, right. That didn't sound good. Because when I write you poems. I mean, I ain't write you one of them. I say what I got to say. And you don't always receive it, but I'm saying it. Hey, gotta put it out. I'll be trying not to be blunt. Y'all know I've talked earlier about being blunt. I don't be trying to be blunt with her. I be trying to be delicate and
Look, that's a lie.
No, I know. Look, y'all don't. My
That
wife is
is
like the
a
Incredible Hulk,
lie.
so I got to make sure I say things the right way. Because if I come across the wrong way, the Hulk coming out, and it's gonna be a problem. And it's like, oh
How he
man,
know about the Hulk? Because he said things the wrong way.
nope,
So
nope,
that's the only way.
nope,
Telling on himself. I love
no.
it though.
That when you be like, you don't talk, you ain't got nothing to say. And you're like, what? Now,
Mm.
remember how the parents used to say that you should beat you? Like, "No, shut up! Don't you say that? You ain't listening to me. I need you to answer me when then you get ready to answer. But shut up! I didn't ask you to say that." That's my wife when she go and be like,
Mm.
"Okay,
I'll let you have it. I'll
I
let you
love you,
have it.
baby." No, but listen, guys, we do not want you walking around feeling like you're not being heard. That is the worst feeling on earth. That is a form of rejection.
And it will destroy relationships and an intimate connection.
It is the worst feeling in the world. Listen, when you get off of this show,
Mm-hmm.
if you are feeling like you're being unheard, I need you to contact that significant other, your husband, your wife, whomever. Sit down and have a talk. Let them know I feel
Please.
like I'm being unheard. And
Mm-hmm.
then explain to them why. Now, if you're having that conversation, you cannot be one sided. Yes, you have the floor, but you also have to be willing to open it up to hear what the other person has to say. Because sometimes for
Mm-hmm.
people who feel like they've been unheard, they just want to go on and 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 on. And it's like, okay, so you're not even going to give another person an opportunity to explain themselves or to share what's in their heart. Maybe they want to apologize, but you're so busy going, give them an opportunity to acknowledge and apologize,
Mm-hmm.
and then allow them the opportunity to work on it. It may take some time for them to get it right. It may not happen overnight, but give them space to be able to acknowledge it, apologize for it, and to begin to put the steps in place to work on that thing. But don't allow yourself to sit there being bound up with these feelings that I'm not being heard, because I'm telling you, that's the devil's workshop. That's all he wants, especially in good relationships. The good relationships, I'm trying to tell you, he wants to destroy those things.
Thank you for the lyric. I have to tune in my head, but I can always count on you to come through.
Yeah,
You know that?
I don't know if you
That's why
wonder
you
about
eat
that.
my tag team.
Oh my God.
Thank
She's
you for that. I
look,
guess we could play
she
that portion.
she's a runner, she's a track star. When things get heavy, she's gonna run hard. Is that it? Oh,
Not
she's
when
gonna run
things.
away when it gets hard. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, we could play that part.
that's the only part we can play.
Yep.
See, we might slip up and play another lyric, then we might have a problem.
Well, that's all. I just said that's the only part. Cut. That's all y'all get. That 5 seconds.
No, but really, guys, listen. We want you. Listen, one of our objectives with our show, entertain you. Yeah, we want to equip you. We want to empower you. We want to give you the tools that's necessary to be successful in whatever relationship that you
Mm-hmm.
have,
Absolutely.
whether it's a marriage relationship, single relationship,
Mm-hmm.
friends relationship with God. Whatever your
Absolutely.
relationship is, we want to be able to help you have the best possible outcome from the relationships that you have. Yes, there's communication with God. Sometimes you feel like you're not being heard when you pray. And sometimes there may be some validity to that. The book of James says what that some of you are praying because you ask amiss. So you may be asking for something that. So again, every relationship, there's a way that you can feel like you're not being heard. So again, we want to make sure that every episode that we do on Let's Unwind with the Evan, that we're doing our best
Yep.
to try to empower you, equip you, give you the necessary tools that you need to make this thing work. Look, like my wife said, we don't always get it right. We mess it up. We make mistakes, but we're intentional at least about trying to make our relationship what it needs to be.
It's work.
We are intentional.
Y'all not gonna get no little fairy
We, we,
tale. Look, Marriage is hard, and it takes a two people who are willing to make it work and to get in
I
and
mean,
get dirty, get their hands dirty.
there's a lot that comes with it.
Self-reflection
There's a
is
lot.
very key
Yeah.
to a lot of those issues, and just trusting God, if you have that relationship. But before we, let you guys have the rest of your evening back, I did want to share we are going to be on our 100th episode
Yep. 100th episode in
on
June, right?
June 19th.
June 19th.
June 19th. So we are celebrating 100 episodes.
Make that call.
Not yet. But yes, we are definitely going to be celebrating and all of that good stuff. More information coming soon. But I just wanted to throw that out there that you all, we have been doing this thing. We are committed to really giving you the tools for your relationships to
It's
grow.
been 3 years we've been doing this. We didn't realize it. We didn't realize that we were coming up on 100 episodes. And it was like, wow.
Mhm.
So we're going to do something live in person.
Live in person. And I know a few of you were not there the first time we did it in Atlanta.
Well, that was the singles thing. This is going to be this one.
Let's unwind with the Evans. But what I will share with you is, yes, it's going to be live, but I can give it away. It's going to be here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
That much, yes.
So that much we do have a location for. So again, save more information will come soon. June 19th, we may not do it on that specific day. We may do it that weekend.
Right. Right. But listen,
actually, let me check
we want to invite you guys to be with us.
There will be tickets. Actually, June 19th falls on the Monday. Yeah, perfect.
So, perfect. No, but we want to invite you guys to come to Charlotte, North Carolina, wherever you might. I mean, we have someone that comes on every week from Pakistan. That blows my mind every week. Every week. I'm like, Evangelist Freeman is on. God bless you guys. I'm joining from Pakistan. We got people all over the world. We can officially say all over the world. But we want to invite you guys to come to Charlotte to spend some time, hang out with us when we do the live show.
Live in person.
Yeah. So we're going to bring more details on it because we've got some surprises. We want to get some guests to come on and all that. So it's going to be dope stuff, man. Look, there's a lot we're working on. Oh, we've got something coming up in September. We're actually going to be in Orlando, Florida. We're doing a conference with someone.
A marriage retreat.
A marriage, what? Not the retreat. The conference with Sims. I forget the name of it. Anyway, it's something like that. We'll be giving you the information coming up. So we'll be in Orlando, Florida, doing a workshop on relationships. Obviously, we are working on a marriage retreat, relationship retreat. So we'll be giving you guys some information on that. That's coming up here soon as well. So look, Lady J busy, y'all. The woman busy. She keep me running. So just keep your eyes open for her. And we'll be coming in your location obviously soon. Hey, be praying for your boy. I'm doing a conference this week here in Charlotte. Next week I'll be in Pittsburgh for 3 days doing a revival. The following week I'll be in Atlanta. Let's unwind. I know. I'm just pray for your boy. I'm saying pray for your boy. It's not unwind with Evans, but pray for your boy.
Not everybody may have that relationship, baby.
Y'all better get that relationship.
It's the best one to have.
Ain't nothing like it. Listen.
But anyways, we're gonna.
We love y'all. You do not have to go through life feeling unheard. There's some things you can do. We gave you 6-7 steps. Listen, if you do that, I promise you'll feel much better. Until next week, y'all. We love y'all so much. Thank you for joining.
Have a good night, y'all.
God bless y'all. Pray for your boy.